Please put your hands together for your Bronco Beat hosts, Madi McEachern and Jessica Mayhew.
Wow, thank you. Well, Madi, lively crowd we got today, huh?
Tell me about it, yeah. So, Jess, how was your weekend?
It was great. Busy, but great. How about you? Did you get a chance to do any reading?
Well, as you know, I just finished reading The Great Gatsby.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait for the new movie to come out in May. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, me too. I'm thinking it's going to be hard to improve on the original, though.
But it won't be hard to improve on the book.
The original came out in 1970, and I do have to say that I really enjoyed watching it. But this weekend, I moved on to a new book, The Help. I finished it in just 2 days. It was that good.
Oh, Madi, you're right about that. I've read it too, and just like you, I couldn't put it down.
Yes, and what makes it more exciting is that after the break, we'll be talking to the author right here on Bronco Book Beat.
Oh.
Are you tired of eating these terrible chicken fingers?
Yes.
Do you want the old ones back?
Yes.
Then join the millions of other hungry students dedicated in bringing the fat back. Let's stop millions of students across the nation from suffering. Call 1-800-FRY-CHICKS to join the fight today.
Welcome back. Let's give a nice warm welcome to the #1 New York Times bestselling author of The Help, Catherine Stockett.
Hi. Thanks for being on the show today.
It's an honor to have you.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
For those of you who don't know, who may not have read the book, The Help is set in Jackson, Mississippi in the early 1960s at the beginning of the Civil Rights Movement. 3 women work together to compose a novel that anonymously tells the story of African-American maids who worked for some of the more affluent white homes in Jackson. In the book, the maids work together to try and bring awareness to how these everyday African-American maids were treated by white families.
I found there to be several passages in the book to which I could make a personal connection. For instance, in the passage where Aileen tells the child that she is caring for, May Mobley, that she is kind and smart. Let me read that passage. After a while, May Mobley come over and press her cheek up to mine and just hold it there, like she know I'd be hurting. I hold her tight and whisper, "You a smart girl, you a kind girl, May Mobley, you hear me?" And I keep saying it until she repeats it back to me. When I was a young girl like May Mobley, I can remember similar things that my grandmother would say to me when I was staying with her for a weekend.
Yeah, isn't it great when you can do that? The real reason why I wrote The Help was because of my grandmother's housekeeper, Dimitri. In a way, she really helped to save my life. She would take me in front of the mirror and stand me there, and she would say, "You are beautiful. Look at yourself. You are really something special." What a powerful thing to say to a child.
That's so wonderful. I had a personal connection too. Let me read the passage. The bus today is nothing but maids heading home in our white uniforms. We all chatting and smiling at each other like we own it. Not 'cause we mind if there's white people on here. We sit anywhere we want to now thanks to Miss Parks, just 'cause it's a friendly feeling. This passage really reminded me of the first time I visited the Henry Ford Museum. I got to see the actual bus where Rosa Parks made history. This quote just really brought it home to me.
It's great that you both could take something away like that. That's what the book is all about, really.
There are also a lot of historical connections to be made throughout the book, too. For example, in this passage. Every colored person in Jackson gets in front of whatever TV set they can find, watches Martin Luther King stand in our nation's capital and tell us he's got a dream. I'm in the church basement watching. Our own Reverend Johnson went up there to march, and I find myself scanning the crowd for his face. I can't believe how many people is there, 250,000. And the ringer is that 60,000 of them is white. Even though The Help is fiction, you weave in an actual piece of history that really allows young readers like me and Jess to come away with a deeper understanding of the material.
That's what I love about writing. Many times when you blend historical events into a fictional novel, it really helps the reader to understand how things happened the way they did and why they happened the way they did. It's one thing to read about it in a textbook, but it's something completely different when the story comes alive in a novel.
Obviously, a main recurring motif throughout the novel is how African Americans were treated differently by their white employers. Let me read a passage. Hilly raises her voice about 3 octaves higher when she talks to colored people. Elizabeth smiles like she's talking to a child, although certainly not her own. I'm starting to notice things. For me, it was the realization that African Americans were treated more as property than as human beings. Not allowing them to use the same restrooms or the same dishes, really, as a reader, it made me sad. This motif is the main reason why these three characters were able to compose the novel in the first place.
That's right, Jess. It truly was one of the main themes of this book. While whites understood that slavery had been abolished long ago, they still treated their African American employees like slaves. They weren't compensated fairly, they were treated unfairly, and they really just treated them like they were property or animals.
Catherine, let me talk to you about characterization in the help. For example, in this passage, taking care of white babies, that's what I do, along with all the cooking and the cleaning. I done raised 17 kids in my lifetime. I know how to get them babies to sleep, stop crying, and go in the toilet bowl before their mamas get out of bed in the morning. To me, this really characterizes the fact that Abeline and the other maids were willing to spend their time raising white children at the expense of spending time raising their own children.
I'm glad you picked up on that. Most of the employers didn't care about their maids' personal lives, such as in the case of Yule May. She was one of the maids who worked endless hours trying to get her twin boys a better life. She sacrificed all that time and she made next to nothing. It really was ironic at the end.
We've just got a little more time here, so let's talk about racism being used as a theme throughout the book. Let me read another passage. A bill that requires every white home to have a separate bathroom for the colored help. I've even notified the Surgeon General of Mississippi to see if he'll endorse the idea. Racist white employers like Hilly Holbrook treated African Americans like animals, believing that by using the same bathrooms they would spread disease to white families. Hilly even goes so far as to try and pass a law to ensure that families who hired colored help would provide separate facilities for them to use. To me, it just showed the lengths that racist white employers would go to ensure that African Americans were treated differently.
Absolutely. Yes, racism was a main theme of the story, but so too was hypocrisy. The fact that white employers let their African American employees raise their own children, they nurtured them, they fed them, they formed a relationship with them, but not allow them to use the same bathroom as them. To me, those two topics, racism and hypocrisy, they just went hand in hand.
How true. Well, we're just about out of time today, so thank you for taking the time to speak with us today, Catherine. Join us next time when we'll be taking on the topic of libraries in the Stone Age, when we'll be discussing the Dewey Decimal System and card catalogs. Until then, read a book!
Gotta keep reading, 'cause this book's gonna be a good book, 'cause this book's gonna be a